Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen.
Oh, you mean the soul item? Well, there you go. You're welcome.
To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
Reminds me how the narrator of these games sadly passed away not too long ago, right? So she will certainly be missed, man. If we do ever get Dark Souls 4, it will be strange to not hear her voice, let me tell you. I didn't know it was there. Yeah, it's very easy to miss. But now you know. In Lorethrough, level up and kindle at bonfires. And we are at Firelink Shrine. That soundtrack though. So a lot has happened. Our character escaped the Undead Asylum. We are lost, we are confused, we are not sure what to do. We have promised to try and uphold that guy's family's, I guess, prophecy, right? Old saying about ringing the bell of awakening. But we are not entirely sure where that is, or where we are for that matter. So let's explore. There is someone here, so let's talk to them. Hey.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. The fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first.
Not the first.
There's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are actually 2 bells of awakening.
There's 2 bells.
One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead.
So there's 2 bells, chat. Well, that doesn't help as much. Would you tell us more, man?
Ah, your face. You're practically hollow.
I mean...
But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit.
I mean, we're trying. Trying not to go hollow, that is.
What? Restoring your humanity? Well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collected bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way, although I'd never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity. Coveting thy neighbor is only human, after all.
So he gives us an interesting hint, or I guess a couple of interesting hints here. By the way, welcome Mecha Mike. Welcome to the stream. It tells us that in order to become human, we can butter up a cleric and get ourselves summoned. I think this is a reference to how you will you will become human again if you get summoned by another player and help them defeat the boss, right? But the fact that he mentions that you should butter up a cleric makes me think that maybe at some point this was a church-exclusive practice, you know? Maybe only members of the Way of White could do summoning. And then the practice became widespread at some point. He also tells us that we can gather it bit by bit from corpses, which is basically that mechanic where after you kill a certain number of enemies within a level, you will gain a point in humanity. Because you are gathering small fragments of humanity from each enemy you kill, right? And of course, the fastest method is to just kill someone and take their humanity for yourself.
What are you looking at? Don't try anything clever. You might regret it.
And of course, he's thinking that we might try and do that to him. Which we won't. We are trying to be a decent guy. Not a good guy, but a decent guy. Seriously though, how do we get to the bell?
What? You want to hear more?
I do.
Oh, that's all we need. Another inquisitive soul.
Yes.
Well, listen carefully then.
Uh-huh.
One of the bells is up above in the Undead Church, but the lift is broken. You'll have to climb the stairs up the ruins and access the Undead Burg through the waterway.
Right.
The other bell is back down below the Undead Burg, within the plague-infested Blight Town.
Blight Town.
But I die again before I step foot in that cesspool.
Blight Town, he says.
Bloody hell, what is it now? You ask too many questions.
Even the NPC is getting bored, so yeah. Cool shield, by the way. Look at this guy. Right, so the waterway, he said. That's that up there, I believe. That's the waterway. I wonder how he came to know there are two. You know, I actually never thought about that. 3 humanity here. That's nice. L1, L1. So let's do a bit of exploration around here and see what we can find. That's the waterway which will take us to the Undead Burg, according to the guy. So let's not go there quite yet. Let's do a bit of exploration first. There's nothing here apparently. Oh, there is. Or is there? Aha. Fire bombs. This is going to be useful. Also, let me slot my Estus on the first slot. Yeah, that's better. And there is someone here. Who is this?
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted.
We are
I'm
not.
Taurus of Firelink. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
I like to think our character is like weary of other members of the church right now. Of Taurus, right? Because he kind of figured out that the church is up to no good when he was locked away in the asylum. Which, by the way, we are a part of. If you guys see there under our name, Covenant Way of White. The Knight and the Cleric classes are the only 2 classes which already start as a part of a Covenant. And they also have the Pray emote instead of the Joy emote, which kind of gives us a bit of an interesting insight on the Way of White, right? They can't express joy, but they can pray, which is interesting. So yeah. Parkour. There we go. What do we have around here then? There's an item there. Still fat rolling. I will fix that in a moment, don't worry. Some of you might be going crazy, I believe, over the fact that I'm fat rolling right now. Alright, so let's try and talk to that guy again. So yeah, this will be a pure faith build like I mentioned, but I will be putting, I believe, 16 points in both strength and dexterity just to get... just so that I can use a few weapons. And you can expect some knightly weapons on this character. Alright, Mateus, alright. There. I have removed my helmet and my gauntlets. I am now medium rolling. Is that better? There. You can now breathe in peace. Let's go endurance, because I would like to put on some gauntlets at some point. 12 and some faith as well. I do want to get to 20 faith as soon as I can, for reasons I will explain soon. Let's talk to that guy again and do a bit more exploration around here.
Hello there.
Hello.
I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you.
Okay. A copper coin. Money. Copper coin of Old Man MacLoith. Copper made of... oh, excuse me. Coin made of copper. Its face shows Old Man MacLoith, god of medicine and drink. Even coins of great value in the world of men have little value in Lorethrough, where the accepted currency is souls. Those who dream of returning to the outside world are fond of carrying these around. Alright, cool. So it doesn't actually do anything because the currency here in Lorethrough is souls. And this is the elevator, which according to the guy at the bonfire is broken. But I wonder, what if we jump down here? Ah, there seems to be something here. And this is Petrus' little stash, or hidden stash, I suppose we should say. And here we find some cracked red-eye orbs, which is yet another hint that the Church of White may be up to no good. A morning star and a talisman. What else do we have? Homeward Bone. And last but not least, Lloyd's Talisman. So that's another mention of Lloyd, this entity that seems to be very important for the Way of White. Talisman used by Allfather Lloyd's cleric knights to hunt down the undead. Block Estus recovery within a limited area. In the outside world, the undead are accursed creatures, and Lloyd's cleric knights are widely praised for their undead hunts. This blessed talisman blocks undead recovery, allowing the knights to fight with impunity. So basically this is a PvP item, right? You can throw it on other players and they won't be able to use their Estus. Although some enemies also have Estus, so you can use those. And we also had a Morningstar, which we are going to use. Hammer with a sharp spike on its pommel. One of the more barbaric cleric weapons. Uniquely, this hammer inflicts thrust damage and causes bleeding. Not entirely accurate, actually. This weapon used to inflict thrust damage, but it doesn't anymore because it was incredibly OP because of that. Let's jump down here. Alright. Skeletons. Hit them. And since we are dealing strike damage, they are disassembling when we hit them. Take this. Ah. Aha. Damn it. Yeah, take this. Quite easy to get rid of them if you have a mace. And very easily just keep them disassembled, basically. Backstab? No. Okay, dude, can you not block? There we go. Notice that they are actually dying also, which is normally not possible. I'm pretty sure if you are a member of the Way of White, you can kill these skeletons. Because I have tried killing these guys with other characters and it didn't work. They would just keep reassembling indefinitely. So there's a little curiosity there. And there is another soul item right over here. And I believe that's it for our exploration quota. We could keep going down the graveyard, but let's not do that right now. As you guys could tell, those skeletons are way too powerful for us right now. Let's speak with that Petrus guy one more time. Hey there.
Oh my, you again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you?
Miracles? Yeah, sure.
Very well. Then first, a covenant with the gods.
And we are already a part of the Covenant, so we don't have to do anything.
Now let me share my miracles. Only their ultimate effectiveness will be determined by your efforts and your faith.
Alright. Learn gesture. Shrug. We can now shrug, chat. Purchase item, and he sells a bunch of stuff.
My companions are Milady and her young knights. She is young, but burdened by an undead mission. We are her defenses, to keep her from harm.
Right. So he has companions, but they are not here quite yet. We'll talk more about this later, I think.
Come again. The effectiveness of the teachings depend upon your faith.
Let's get on with the Undead Burg, I believe. Shrug obtained. Which one should I do? This one. There we go. Oh well. Best emote in the game. Second best, that is. First one being Praise the Sun, of course. This guy is still here though. Nice armor. Right, so it is time to explore, I believe. Do we have any more soul items? We do, but I think we can save these for later. Let's keep our Morning Star and our fire bombs handy. And let's go up the waterway. More undead soldiers. Jump attack. There we go. I hear fire. There's a guy throwing fire bombs way up there. Can I lure this guy? Yeah, come on. Nope. Oh, he tried to shield bash. There we go. Parry. Get parried, sir. Let's get rid of this firebomb thrower, shall we? So you like firebombs, huh? Well, have some. Yeah. How do you like that? And there we go. There were a few items down there though, so let's check those out. Another soul. A bit of parkour here for the brave, if you are feeling brave, that is. There is an actual NPC which will sit here later in the game, and I still think that's a terrible place to place an NPC, but yeah. Ring of Sacrifice. Lose nothing upon death, but ring itself breaks. This mystical ring was created in a sacrificial rite of Velka, the goddess of sin, which is a very important figure in Dark Souls lore, to say the least. I remember way back when there was only Dark Souls 1, there was this theory that the entirety of this game was basically just Velka sending you to Lorethrough to enact punishment on the gods, you know? I don't quite think this is true, but I think Velka does have a hand in what happens in basically all of the games, all of the games in the franchise, actually. Another soul. The fact that a crow carries us to Lorethrough, and the crow is the symbol of Velka, right, is quite telling. So there is a rat here, which is responsible for a lot of new player deaths, I believe. And we got rid of it in one hit. And what is this? A locked gate. Or rather, another gate which does not open from this side. If you guys hear any background sound, that's my wife who just arrived home. Hi, hun, how are you doing? That's Cindy, by the way, guys. Alright, so here we are at the Undead Burg. No, sir. Amazing level design for a first level. Simply amazing. And who is this guy? Don't you dare. You son of a gun. How dare you? There's another guy. No, sir. So the Undead Burg is basically just a undead settlement, a small city of undead, right? Or rather, it used to be a regular human city, I believe. One of the many cities which sit on the outskirts of Lorethrough. Lorethrough seems to be like circled by these huge walls, right? And one has to climb their way up to get there. There's another guy here. Hey. Be gone. I hate them so badly. Oh. Rats? Another large soul. Bit of a secret area here. And more exploration to be had here. Another soul. If it is rats you're talking about, they are indeed annoying in most games. Most Dark Souls games, that is. Yeah, rats, indeed. Rats don't care about boys, by the way. That's one of the things which makes them very annoying. They will always stagger you, regardless of your points. A bunch of dudes here who think they can get a jump on us. Another guy. We missed. He Goomba stumped us. How dare you? And there we go. Rubbish. Rubbish, I say. So what is this? Rubbish has no value. Rubbish with no value. Who in their right mind would bother carrying this around? Perhaps you need help. I love this. Love this game. Alright, and for our exploration we are rewarded with another humanity. Okay. So one of the interesting things we see in the Undead Burg is that, well, for starters, there are only undead warriors and soldiers around, but not actual citizens, you know? There is a chalice in Bloodborne called Eiling Loran. I wonder why they made them sound so similar that it feels intentional. Yeah, usually I feel like when it comes to nomenclature, it tends to be intentional. If something sounds similar, it's because it's meant to sound similar when it comes to Dark Souls lore, you know? Or Soulsborne lore. But I haven't played Bloodborne though, so I'm not sure. And that is a dragon. That is indeed a dragon. And there it goes. And we have another enemy. Get parried. Mace to the face. Okay. So like I said, look what we have here. We have... I believe these are called palisades. No, sir. Take it easy there, buddy. Let me get rid of this crossbowman real quick. Sir, could you stop shooting me? Another hit. There we go. So, check how we have some palisades or blockades, I don't know how to call this actually, here, and they seem to have arrows on this side, so this tells me that this city was invaded actually by some enemy force, which kinda gets us asking who, you know. Mateo's gotta go, guys. See ya, man. Thanks for staying on. Jesus Christ, man. Thanks for sticking around. See you next time. The first thing one would think is that this place got outrun with undead, right? But if the population turned undead, then why do we have signs of, you know, battle, like normal battle with palisades and arrows? And why do we have armed soldiers around but no civilians, you know? And I think the answer is knights from other kingdoms came flooding into Lorethrough to try and, well, complete the prophecy of the chosen undead. We do meet knights from other kingdoms later in the game, or actually later in this level. I'm hearing something. What am I hearing? I think it's the undead merchant. Interesting. So he actually makes a sound when he moves. Interesting. But yeah, I think Lorethrough probably got invaded at some point by other kingdoms who were desperately trying to come to Lorethrough to complete the prophecy of the chosen undead, you know? And that's why we have soldiers around, because they were trying to hold them off. And we have someone here. Who is this?
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls. Everything's for sale.
Is that so? What do you sell? Repair powder, throwing knives, fire bombs, dried finger, orange guidance soapstone. And I do see some Steam overlay messages right now, and I hope these are not showing up on stream. I'm pretty sure I turned the overlay off, but oh well. So we bought the guidance soapstone so we can rate messages. And let's also get the residence key. And we don't have enough for the bottomless box, although we should be able to just use a soul item to get that sorted out. A bunch of weapons which we are not going to use on this character. The short sword is not bad, but I would like a long sword, if possible. And some armor. Can we use this?
Things are getting treacherous in these parts. A horrible goat demon has moved in below. And up above, there's that humongous drake and a bull demon too. If you stick around this place, it might end up being your grave.
A bull demon and a huge drake. And also a goat demon, he says. Interesting.
Here, I'm not here to chit-chat. We talk business or we talk nothing at all.
Alright.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you, I guess. So I was hoping we could get some armor variation going on here. Let's see. I'm not a fan of having unequipped slots, you know, having empty slots. So that's gauntlets and a helm. And hopefully we are not going to fat roll with these on. Let's see. Medium rolling, alright, that's good. A little bit of armor variation, you know. We are going back to a heavier suit of armor later in the game, but for now this will do. Looks good though. Really good. But yeah, Undead Merchant, you can kill him for the Uchigatana, which is a very good sword for dexterity builds. Which is not what we are playing right now, so we are not going to kill him. Let's see what's down here. Okay, that's... I don't have nearly as much points as before. I should try to remember that. So these here are civilians actually. This is one of the few places. Okay, noisy car just... well, made a lot of noise outside. Do excuse me for that, chat. But that's one of the few places where we do have some civilians actually, which is interesting. We will find civilians later in the church, which is interesting to me because usually what happens during a siege, right, during an enemy invasion is you will get civilians protected, you know, at the center of the city, while the soldiers hold the enemies back. So again, it points out to this city being invaded by an outside force. We just got some throwing knives there, and we did a bit of parkour here for another item. Over here, I believe, yes. We have the light crossbow, which we will be using, for sure. And nothing to do here, so let's just drop down. And let's sit at the bonfire we found earlier. But yeah, these here are mostly just militia, I believe, because they seem to be very poorly equipped, you know? A wooden shield, alright. Wooden shield, and I don't think we will be using it, honestly. Vertically elongated wooden shield decorated with a white dragon. Wood shields are lighter than metal shields, but with lower physical damage reduction and reduced stability. Kinda useful in the early game if you start with a pyromancer, or I believe the mage or the cleric, because they start with very poor shields. Not the cleric though, they start with a pretty decent shield actually. But yeah. So that's another bonfire we've just lit. Lots of activity here, that's nice to see, man. We can get some co-op going, by the way. I'm not trying to summon for my boss fights, but I don't mind helping people with their boss fights, so as soon as I get the White Sign Summon Stone, I'm gonna drop it down and see if we can get some co-op going as well. At least once per area, I feel. Should be a way of becoming human and gathering a few more souls. So we have a bunch of dudes there throwing fire bombs. We have to run past this to not get hit. But as soon as we enter this place, we are getting ambushed. No, thank you. Thankfully, these guys are quite easily to parry though, and backstab too. And then there's this guy. Check this little cinematic scene, right? This guy just kicks the door open. You're busy fighting two dudes, and then this guy just kicks the doors open and jumps in there. I do hear footsteps, lots of them. And then they stop as soon as I say that. So what do we have here? Another parry, that's what we have. And here, another parry. Okay. Man, I love this game. Have I mentioned that? Also, have I mentioned how easy it is to parry in this game? And here we have a black firebomb, I believe, which is basically a stronger variation to the regular firebomb. Interesting lore implication here. We do have gunpowder in Dark Souls, but it hasn't been properly developed yet. Interesting how we don't see cannons in the game, because some of the very first applications of gunpowder in real life were, you know, cannons. And whoa, take it easy there, sir. Do not throw firebombs at me. Ah, okay. So that's how it is, huh? Instability frames, and you're down, sir. Let's get those guys who were throwing bombs at us earlier. So you like to throw bombs, huh? Take this. Do not. Uh-huh. Okay, we did get one firebomb to the face there. That's an officer. There we go. Just like that. And we get a firebomb again. Nice. And another soul. So yeah, amazing level design, honestly, for a first level. Something which, in my opinion, Dark Souls 2 and 3 didn't even get nearly as close, you know, on just nailing the level design of the very first level. The Undead Burg is amazing, is what I'm trying to say. It rewards exploration and teaches the player what to expect from this game. For example, check your corners. Otherwise, you might find yourself getting shot in the back by an archer. Then we have these dudes. I do like to lure them in one by one and hit them with this right here. Oh. There we go. Plunge attack. Stop that. Another one. Oh, I didn't have enough stamina for a follow-up. There we go. Undead Burg is great. It is, man. By the way, welcome Duskborn. Good to see you here. Not only the Undead Burg, but the early game enemies are amazing, I think. I've mentioned this in yesterday's stream, but I feel like these enemies are designed to teach you how to play right. Their animations are super easy to read. Whereas in Dark Souls 2, the enemies can be a bit wonky, like it's hard to tell whether they are trying to attack or blocking, or trying to parry even. And then we have this big dude here. Quite intimidating for a new player, I imagine. Can we parry? Sometimes I actually don't get the backstab on this guy. It is quite tricky, and I didn't get it this time. But I did get the parry though, so take this, sir. You want some more? Have another one. And bam. Oh, I missed. Stop blocking. Another one. Had enough? No, sir. Have I mentioned that parries are OP? I believe I have. Get absolutely destroyed, my friends. And we get a Titanite chunk, no swords though. What a shame. Oh well. That was a Black Knight, which I really like the idea of having these enemies who haunt you throughout the entire game, right? But only towards the very end of the game do you understand just what these guys are, and that's really cool. Blue Tearstone Ring, sometimes called the Blue Testosterone Ring apparently, which got a laugh out of me when I saw that on the internet for the first time. Boosts defense while HP is low. This rare gem called Tearstone has the uncanny ability to sense imminent death. This blue Tearstone from Katarina boosts the defense of its wearer when in danger. We're gonna wear it for now, since we don't really have anything else to use, right? And let us press onwards. Yeah, that's a hard no on my part. No thank you, sir. That's also a no on my part. No riposte, unfortunately. There we go. Parry might be easier in this game, but I do prefer the timing in this game compared to others. Yeah, I feel like what they did in Dark Souls 2 and 3 was move the parry window towards the end of the parry animation, which makes the whole parry mechanic strange, because in most cases it's not even reactional, it's more like predicting the enemy attack, right? In this game the idea is quite simple. When the attack is about to hit you, you press the parry button. That's it. the parry frames start earlier than they do in the other games. And this door is locked, of course. I think they should have just reduced the parry frames overall, but not changed when the parry frames start in the animation, you know? Although it is somewhat manageable in Dark Souls 2. In Dark Souls 3, though, I still have to learn it. Yeah, exactly, man. I do like that you can parry with weapons in Dark Souls 2, though. As difficult as it may be to do so, it is nice to have the option. We have a bunch of chests here, but this one is looking suspicious, if you ask me. So let's bonk it. Well, would you believe that? There was a strange bug in there. And we get Twinkling Titanite and large Titanite shards. Poor little guy. And it seems the way towards the top of the tower is broken, so let us press onwards in here. Alright, this feels ominous, to say the least. What is this? Aha. So this is yet another situation where a careful player would not fall for an ambush, right? Because if you just walk slowly, you will listen to them shooting you before you trigger the boss. So let's deal with these guys. Yeah, some enemies are insanely fast, including, like I was saying, early game enemies. Like, check these guys, check how telegraphed their attacks are, right? Look at this. There's a long wind-up before the attack comes out, you know? Look. Super easy. In Dark Souls 2, the great sword-wielding Drung Lake soldiers you fight in the first level can charge at you. Frame 1 almost, you know? The parry frames start later than some attacks. Yeah, definitely, man. But even if you just try to block or dodge, you get hit sometimes. Let's lie down. Yeah, a ton of stuff changed, you know. I can see a new player trying to run through this place and getting ganked by the archers. Yeah, it might happen. But if they do that, they learn an important lesson. Have patience. Don't play in a hurry, right? I feel like that's the #1 rule for this game, honestly. You really don't have to be this good, you just have to be patient. Yeah, let's run. I know I've just talked about patience, but let's get out of here. I can sprint upstairs, or rather, up the ladder. This is Dark Souls 1, I can sprint. But I can plunge attack. Take this. And now we fight, sir. No, thank you. Can I hit you? I can't. I might have to get some blocks in, actually, because I might not be able to back up in time to punish the attack. Back up and then get back in, I mean, in time to punish. Or like this, for example, yeah. Amazing block animation then. We get to see more of it. Can we bleed him? I wonder. The Morningstar does cause bleeds. Hiya. Yeah, take that. Yep. Dodging, huh? I love this music though. Oh, bleeds. There we go. We actually took some damage there. Oh. He actually missed. Okay. Yep. There we go. Oof. Guard broken, but I'm okay. Block. Another stagger and a strong attack to finish. And that is the first boss. Humanity and Homeward Bone. And also, Praise the Sun. We don't have the animation yet, but we are praising it anyway. I do like that the archers shoot before Taurus Demon shows up, so it's not unreasonable. Yeah, exactly. People like to say that this game is like insanely difficult, right? Or at least people used to say that. I don't think it still has this much infamy, but it really is just a game about patience, you know? Pattern learning and careful observation, I would say. Nice, GG. Thanks, man. GG. A very nice boss for the early game. Praise the sun, my friends. Large soul of a lost undead, yeah. Speaking of praising the sun, we are about to meet someone special. Rip Taurus Demon, yeah. He never saw it coming. There he is, chat. Look at him. Look at this man. Gazing upon the sun like a Chad. Let's speak to him. Hello?
Ah, hello. You don't look hollow, far from it. I am Soler of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son. You find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that look all the time.
Alright, so he realizes he's a little bit goofy, but he doesn't care, you know? He's just that much of a Shad. He knows his hobby is strange, but who cares? He doesn't care.
Oh, aha. So I didn't scare you.
You didn't.
I have a proposition, if you have a moment.
Of course, man. What is it?
The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. In a land brimming with hollows, could that really be mere chance? So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey?
For sure, man.
This pleases me greatly. Well then, take this.
White sign soapstone. There we
We
go.
are amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact. But use this to summon one another as spirits, cross the gaps between the worlds, and engage in jolly cooperation.
Jolly
We're
cooperation.
not the only ones engaged in this, but I am a warrior of the sun. Spot my summon signature easily by its brilliant aura. If you miss it, you must be blind.
So one of the things that I absolutely love Dark Souls 3 for doing is giving us quests where we get to help NPCs instead of the NPCs helping us, you know? Because I've always wondered, the deal we make with Soler here is mutual cooperation, right? We summon him and it's implied that at some point he would summon us as well, but I guess due to gameplay limitations it never happens, right? We only summon him to help us. In Dark Souls 3 you actually get to help some NPCs who help you in their world as well, which is really, really cool. I wish we could do something like this in Dark Souls 1 as well and get summoned by Soler to help him. I have come to this land to see you, Soler. To seek my own Soler, yeah? Understandable, man. Soler made me fall in love with Dark Souls, man, absolutely. The face of a man who remains positive, regardless of what happens, you know?
Oh, hello there. I will stay behind to gaze at the sun. The sun is a wondrous body, like a magnificent father. If only I could be so grossly incandescent.
Grossly incandescent. There it is, chat. The sun. Let's praise it. One more time before leaving. We will be getting this emote quite soon, I promise. But yeah. Also, do you know what Dark Souls 1 needed? As much as I love Solaire, we needed an evil Solaire who teaches us about invasions as well. This would, in my humble opinion, fix the PvP guy versus PvE guy war we have in the Soulsborne community, you know? I feel like PvP isn't as incentivized in Dark Souls as much as co-op is. They should have given us a cool, shady-looking NPC who gives us a few cracked red-eye orbs and teaches us about invasions, you know? That would have been cool. And also keep Solaire in there, of course, because he's awesome. But yeah. So this is one of the areas where I feel like Dark Souls isn't fair, you know, because there is no way... Oh, that triggered way earlier than I expected, okay. Well, not a lot of damage, so that's okay. We got a bit crispy, but we're okay, you know. But yeah, imagine struggling to defeat the Taurus Demon, having no Estus left, having only a bit of health left, and then dying here because this dragon comes out of nowhere and burns you. Not very fun. Thankfully, it didn't happen this time. So let's run down here. And let's unlock the shortcut. And of course, I have to mention this, the interconnected level design of this game is absolutely great. I don't think any game has managed to produce the aha feeling that this game does, you know. When you loop all the way back to the area you were before. And you only realize you are back to that area once you get there. Nice choice of armor and weapon, my friends. That guy was using a halberd, which I intend to use on this character as well. Another knight here, or is it... No, that's not me, I'm not using that armor. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream so far. We are going on a short break, chat. I'm gonna get myself some water.